Hey, what is going on, everybody? James here with Heavyweight Politics. Hope everyone's been doing well. Sorry I've not been making a video in a while. My wife actually just had our first son. Really excited. Been spending some time with them, obviously. But I wanted to hop back on because there's actually a news story that's been kind of coming up that really hits close to home for me. As sure most of you have probably heard about the shooting that took place in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, right? Where I believe it was Andrew Brown was shot by the officers, shot by the cops there, and passed away. And now there's some protests going on and things like that. This is an area, I'll just say, that is very close to me because I actually grew up not too far away from Elizabeth City. I actually grew up just maybe a county over or so. I'm not going to, of course, give entirely specifics, but I grew up very close to it. I even went to college in Elizabeth City. So I still know actually a lot of people there, so I've been actually on the phone with them, just kind of calling them up, asking, hey, what's been going on? What's been happening there? What do you know about what's been going on? And it's actually been kind of, funny and kind of illuminating to a certain degree, where I've had some of these people who I'm just going to say aren't the most reputable of people, they kind of live on the edge just a little bit, who actually already knew who Andrew Brown was. They actually knew that he was a very well-known drug dealer in the area. I'll just say that. And apparently, the cops have been following him for about over a year at this point, and finally decided to make their move. They rolled up, ready to arrest him. He tried to run, got in his car, driving away, and as he was driving away, they shot at him. And that's led to many protests going on right now in Elizabeth City, where they've been trying, their best to keep it peaceful. And so far, it has been peaceful. I'm going to put that out there right now. So far, all the protests in Elizabeth City has been peaceful, right? And we all believe in the First Amendment. We all believe everyone has the right to protest. And so far, it has remained very peaceful. Now, a big part of that is because it is kind of a small town-ish city. People say, Elizabeth City, you think, nice city, right? No, it's really more like a large town than it really is a city. Beautiful area, actually very pretty, right on the water of the Albemarle Sound, really, really beautiful. I used to go kayaking out there all the time. Really, really kind of loved the area a lot. Was a big part of my childhood, a big part of my, me growing up. It does have some issues, though, with drug dealers and gangs, especially as it's gotten bigger, and especially if you go towards the not so good part of town, like most places are. But so far it's remained peaceful, and a big part of that is probably due to the fact, it's still the country, right? Everyone there has guns. I'll put it that way. Almost everyone's driving with a gun in their car. Farmers all around there. If you try to stop a farmer from trying to do what he needs to do, guess what? You try to block the road in front of him, he's going to probably just run you down. If you try to, jump on his truck, he's going to just straight up shoot you. He's going to have no bones about it. So I really don't see things getting too violent, fingers crossed, but I personally don't see it getting too violent. But this has raised a certain issue of what the cops should and shouldn't do when let's face it, a kind of known criminal, known drug dealer, not someone who is just a user, right? This isn't a case of where, some dude smoked a little bit of pot. No, this is a crack dealer. This is a dude dealing some of the worst of the worst. Enough to a point where when I got on the phone with people from Elizabeth City, many of them already knew who this dude was, right? He was well known for doing this sort of stuff. And the cops, what's their duty to protect the public? At what point do you say he's escaping? Oh, darn, I guess we should have got him before we hopped in his car. Now he's in his car. Go on and get out of here. No, they got to do something, right? They got to do something. But we've seen this a lot in a lot of the recent articles going forward. And I wanted to pull up this article from CNN talking a little bit about the shooting itself. So we got this article here from CNN talking a little bit about some of the protests going on, and they had this whole section going on, of course, what we know currently about the shooting, right? So there's a couple things in here where they constantly say throughout the article, it says one thing here where they talk about the fact of he was just trying to get away to save his own life, right? So he wasn't reaching for anything, he wasn't touching anything, he wasn't throwing anything around, she said. Deputies ran to the car. They claimed shooting as Brown put the vehicle in reverse and backed out of the driveway. Cherry Lassiter said deputies continued to shoot at him as he drove off, and that is apparently where he was killed. He was killed as he was driving away. Now, we don't know, obviously, they haven't released the footage, right? They haven't released the footage yet. They need to go ahead and release the footage. The fact they haven't means it probably is a little bad on the officers. But A lot of them have constantly said, as he was being shot at, Andrew was trying to back away from the officers to save his life, save his own life. If you're running from the officers, I'm sorry, something's going to happen. All right, you might get tackled. You might get tased. They might chase you down and run your car off the road, or they might open fire. If you're in a car driving away and you're a known, if you're a known drug dealer, they have to also weigh out this idea of what are they supposed to do for the community. If he escapes, what harm can he now do? If they give chase, how many other lives are now put at risk racing this guy down the road and trying to pit him without trying to harm him? They took his life. Is that bad? Yes. All right. None of us should be for police killings. All right. The fact is the cops are not good, are overall not good. Right. I've said this repeatedly. I've seen constant examples of bad cops. I have seen it personally. I do not trust cops. I never will. I never have, never will. Doesn't mean there aren't some good ones out there. And I've interacted with plenty of good officers in Elizabeth City in particular. Guess what? In Elizabeth City, I've also met some that are kind of jackasses who I do not like. But at that same time, you drive away from the cops in a car and they're after you. What do you think is going to happen? They say he drove away to try to save his own life. No, he drove away because he didn't want to be arrested. He tried to retreat because he didn't want to be arrested. The whole point of them running away. Yet right now they're going on and on saying, well, they were just trying to save their own life. And that's an excuse for the cops to just sit there and let him go by, do nothing, or try to put other people in danger as they try to pit him while driving down the road. How many other people are put at danger when this dude drives away and they have to chase him down now? How many other lives are now put at risk when they can end it right then and there? I'm not for the cops trying to kill people, but at the same time, I'm also for people actually going through the process, saying, you know what, got me, okay, go to court, we'll figure it out there. If you resist arrest, I'm sorry, the cops don't know if you have a gun, they don't know if you have a knife, they don't know if you're going to try to drive them down, they don't know what your next plan is, they don't know if you drive down the road, are you just going to try to run over some innocent civilian? They have no idea of any of this sort of stuff. And if they do let you go and you do any of this stuff, guess what? People are going to be holding them accountable for why'd you let him go? You had a shot, why didn't you take it? But all of these protesters just want to have this idea, this perfect idea that cops should be everything at one time. Guess what? They should be special forces who knew every bit of tactics possible. They should be well qualified in jiu-jitsu and be able to take someone down without any issue. They should be able to be like, I don't know, John Wick, right? And just be able to disarm someone like that and hit someone from a mile away with a handgun. They don't understand the real world. Their entire makeup of what is an officer is made from TV and movies, right? That's how all of their ideas have been put together. They don't understand how the real world operates. If you run away from an officer, something bad might happen. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying we should be celebrating the death of this man. I'm not saying that we shouldn't even hold some of these cops accountable. But they're calling it a straight up execution in some of these instances. I believe it was the attorney said, oh, this was execution. No, it's not an execution, you dumbass, all right? What it is some idiot trying to run away from cops after he's trying to be arrested. That's not an execution. All right? Is it bad? It might be. When the video comes out, we might find that, they didn't have to take the shots. Or maybe they shot first. Maybe they were scared. That doesn't mean racism. That doesn't mean evil intent. And it doesn't mean an execution. They can still be bad cops. And it could be a situation where, guess what? Someone needs to be fired. Someone needs to be fired. And maybe someone needs to face some consequences of either manslaughter. Who knows? There are consequences that might need to be had. But they want to word these things in such a way that that adds malicious intent. There isn't any evidence of malicious intent yet. There isn't, and they didn't go up to some random dude here. They went up to a drug dealer who they had a warrant to arrest, and he tried to get away. What do you expect is going to happen? So I don't know. I just figured I had to say a couple things. Again, this is my hometown, and seeing images like these protests going on, it's tough, right? This was, for a good part of my life, one of my hometowns, right? I've lived in a lot of different areas. I've lived all across the country. I've lived in so many different places. And Elizabeth City and kind of the surrounding areas is one of the few places that I still would call home to me, right? I don't live anywhere near it now, but I would still almost call it home to me. And it really hurts to see what's going on over there. And I really hope I hope it remains peaceful. I know most of the protesters out there are, you know, they're not bad people, but things can escalate. Things can escalate quickly. We saw how fast they escalated before, right? I mean, if you remember when George Floyd first, when those protests first started, it was a bunch of people doing stuff like, hey, we're going to lay in the middle of the road, right? Hey, peaceful protest. I disagree with you blocking the road, but you know what? Peaceful protest. And what did it escalate into? It escalated to burning down buildings. It escalated to killings, to murders. It escalated to looting. Things escalate. And I know so many business owners in this area. I know so many friends who still live out in kind of the not so nice areas of Elizabeth City. I know people who work over at the college. And I have heard what's been happening over there through them. And again, so far things remain peaceful. So, big part of that I still say has to do with everyone owning guns. So if you don't already own a gun, go out there and get a gun. It does help. It does alleviate some of the tension, but we still don't know what might happen going forward here, right? We still don't know what's going to happen going forward. I hope the officers release the footage soon. I hope that, I really do hope it isn't as bad as some of it's made out to be. And full disclosure, it could be bad. It could be. And if so, hey, I'll say, you know what? I was wrong. They're 100% in the wrong. Maybe they just showed up and just started shooting without any cause. I hope that's not what happened. But if they did, hey, I'll own up to it. I'll say, hey, that's ridiculous. But if it does turn out like what the cops have reported, which was he drove away, and as he was trying to, escape, they opened fire. I'm sorry, I'm not going to have much pity. I'm just not. I'm not going to have pity for you trying to run away from cops, and then the cops having to do something to get you. Is it excessive force? Probably. Guess what? Hold them accountable for excessive force, not for any malicious real intent, right? They're just trying to stop a criminal who is a major drug dealer in that area who's destroying the community. The cops aren't perfect. None of us are perfect. When you stop expecting perfection out of these officers, guess what? If they sit there and are trying to do a good job, if there's no malicious intent, I'm going to come some slack. I hope they can release the video soon, and hopefully we can put the pieces together. But till then, all we can do is speculate, and I guess that's what I'm doing here. And I guess I also kind of just had to get off my chest because, again, it hit close to home. This hits close to home for me. But when the video gets released, I will be back making another video, probably going over that, and, we'll see how it goes. But thank you, everybody, for joining in, and till next time, I'll see you later.